Okay, my friends, very serious topic today. War in the heavens. Was there any? I think I can present some evidence to support the fact that there was war in the heavens, and it also supports the fact that there were giant creatures, because when you see the size of the body parts in heaven, you will be amazed. Okay, most people know the story, but let me relate it to you. This is about the war in the heavens and the dragon and Michael fighting against the dragon. It says in the New Testament of the Christian Bible, Book of Revelations describes a past war in the heavens between the angels led by archangel Michael against those led by the dragon, identified as the devil or Satan. So that's the dragon, who was defeated and thrown to the earth. Revelation's war in heaven is related to the idea of fallen angels, and possibly parallels have been proposed in the Hebrew Bible and the Dead Sea Scrolls. Everybody had the same story, basically. And then war broke out in the heavens. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. He was not strong enough. They slaughtered him, and there is body parts all over heaven. Okay, my friends, hold on to your little hats, because they are going to pop off as your brain explodes. This is Comet 67P. This is from 2014. I followed this as well as anybody in the world. I know everything about this mission that they reported. I followed every detail. This, my friends, is biology, and it is on a massive scale. That little bundle right there, you see that? That's some little muscle tissue bundles. You see these pinchy little things? Those are the bundles, the fibers. These are the tendon enthesis straps. I've shown this a million times. Up at the top is where the muscle starts to take off, very weak, and that burns off and blows away. Now, this is the base of the tendon enthesis. That is the anchor, and I'm going to show you this anatomically. And they actually landed a lander on here called the Philae lander. It took samples of Kenneth and Juliet, the particles they called them, which were organic, 100% organic. They had no explanation for this at all. They really hit a dead end and then just sort of dropped it. I never drop anything. So we're going to go into this. Wait till you see that. There's no question what that is. It's a tendon enthesis, and it is spewing out barbecue smoke in space. First of all, you see the size of this thing? That's the ball at the tendon at the end. That's the stalk, and then it comes up a ways, and then it goes into the muscle for the leg or whatever. I believe it's a Achilles tendon, but I'm not positive. It is an anchor, which they call an enthesis. This is Raleigh, North Carolina. Look at the size of this. In us, you need, you might be able to see it, but you maybe need a microscope. That's the difference in size. You see this? This is basically what we're looking at. It's a ball which anchors, and then all those straps hold that ball so that it pulls, and the muscle is in between, and that's how you become mobile. Okay, this is the tendon enthesis right here. That's the ball. I'm going to show you 67P. That's the stalk. These are anchors. There is no blood vitality to them. You see all the little tiny, this is where the little blood vessels come down to service this strap section. Not here. But there's also one big artery comes down to service all of these little bitty blood vessels. See, here it is right here. There's all those little blood vessels going up to service the straps, and the anchor has there's no smoke coming out of there at all. Smoke is coming out of here because it's being cooked. That's the artery. That's the big one coming down. You always have an artery. It runs off into little blood vessels, and then they run off into capillaries. But you got big to small. And you see all these little shooting out the side? They're not shooting out the side of there for nowhere. That's because there was blood vessels in there that supported the tissues that were above, just like these little tiny blood vessels, the little red stripes I just showed you a second ago, support the tendon. Now, I can't make this claim for certain, but it could be an Achilles tendon. They snap right there at the, exactly what it shows, virtually no difference. Now that is literally a finger in space. That is Comet Oumuamua. Look very carefully. You see that little edge up here? That is the grip skin at the very tip of your finger. Very tough skin. That right there is the apical tuft. Now, pay attention closely. You see this white strap coming down and all these little gnarly looking things here, and then there's a, that is right in between here. That's right in there. That's the crook of your finger. And all of those little dots, hold on. That's this stuff right here. Basically, this is the same thing. All that right there. And then the rest of the other bone comes up here. That's where the anchors, the tendons anchor in. This little white stuff coming up to the apical tuft, which is right up here, that's where all the straps come up and they lock. That's right there, right in between your finger, the crook of your finger. It comes down to this right here. You see the black right here? You see the white over here? Those are the vein and the artery. That is right over the top of your finger, right there. This goes right over the top of your finger. This is the bottom side of your finger. This is an artist's rendition taken from thousands of different photographs which show the shadows. And you can get almost flawless photography using that method by taking over and over. You take one shot, that's it. You're getting light that hits it from one way only. This has all of that nuance to give you the exact details of a fingertip. I showed this to one of extremely top, very high quality anatomist who does autopsies. He knows this stuff inside and out. He says, that's a finger. No question. Okay, this is Dr. Jean-Claude Guimberteau. Now, this actually goes back about 15 years, but this is 8 years ago that somebody put this video up about his work on, or her work, I'm not sure. It's a woman that narrates it, but anyway. This is strolling under the skin. Watch this now.
Develop a technique for transferring vascularized retrograde tendon flexor transfers onto the cubital pedicle to get around the problem of reconstructing flexor tendons.
All right, this is all about reconstructive surgery for sports injuries and so forth. I worked with sports injury people because they're the only ones that know about tendons and fascia and everything. They're the only ones that really had anything to... It's sort of a benign substance in your body. It either stretches or it doesn't stretch. They can break and then they fix them. The sports injury people do that, not doctors. Doctors do other stuff. Well, I mean, the doctor, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, here goes.
Little by little, this new vision of anatomy began to throw light on the relationships between the tendons, the sliding sheaths, and the vessels.
This is all brand new research too. I'm telling you, this is only 15 years ago they started to understand how this stuff works.
And to challenge the very foundations of the classical school of thought.
Now, you see this right here? This is why I wanted to show you this. These are those pinchy bundles that I showed you on Comet 67P. Watch.
During the revascularization following the release of a garret, we observed that not only the tendinous extremities bled with an apparently circular longitudinal and peripheral vascularization, in contradiction with the avascular theory that held sway at that time, but that there seemed to be a real continuity between the sheaths and the tendons, which was not interrupted despite the distension occurring during sliding.
This is very cool stuff. I've done a lot of research on this stuff. It fascinates me. I can't help it. And that was the pinchy bundle. I'll show you. Okay, so I showed you the pinchy little bundles during that strolling under the skin video. These are the tendons that you saw sliding back and forth through those sheaths. This is the anchor ball, which is the enthesis. The blood vessels, as I showed you before, come up through here, and there's one big huge artery that feeds all those blood vessels, and that artery is right there spewing out gases. They say space smells like steak. You see these shooting out here? They're shooting out because that's where the pointer of the blood vessel is going. they're not just blowing dust off of here. That's the artery. These are the blood vessels. This is just the enthesis. There's no issuance of blood out of here, because this is what it is. It's boiling blood out of here. There's still some moist blood in here. I have a meteorite here in my shop that still has blood in it. It came through space. I guarantee you it's true. See that? That's an enthesis. That's a stalk. They break right here. It's called an abrupt transition. These are the tendon balls. What we're looking at, what I showed you, I believe, is a Achilles tendon, which is a little tougher and a little longer. And these break right off here. And guess what? Some of them are moons. You see that? Iapetus has a ridge that runs around it. These are the different chemistry that they're finding inside this. It's nothing more than the chemistry that's inside your body. This is it right here. I'm telling you, I know this stuff inside and out. Anybody wants to challenge me, that's what I'm looking for. Nobody will. These are different oxygen, ferrous oxides in the blood. Hydrocarbons, that's all that's in your body. Same stuff. Sodium, silicon, hydrogen, carbon. It is a body. It's not just some rock thing that's out there that has never was alive, somehow just floating around in space. No. I think this is pretty clear. And if you can't see it, I don't know what I can say to help you. That is the ball that does not issue any gases. These are all the little blood vessels in the stalk that breaks off as it approaches the muscle, because the muscle less mineralized. And I showed you all the tendons, I showed you the blood vessels, I showed you everything about it. So all you can do is dismiss it or just ignore it. And say, oh, that's impossible. Well, no, it isn't. And there was battles in the heavens, and the ancient texts talked about the moons and everything as being a body and a creature. And the planets are too. Jupiter is Zeus. Mars was the god of war. Mars appears to be dead now. You can laugh all you want, but the ancient texts talk about battles in the heavens just as the Bible does. And all of that stuff is ignored by academia, and they will demean you for discussing it, even though we can show evidence that is almost completely indisputable. If they have anyone that has any biology ability, anatomy ability, that's ever done an autopsy, can look at this and they'll know precisely what it is. There's no question what it is. And this is all the runoff of the blood cells, really. They run out of here. That's the tendon, the straps. And you saw it in the gliding under the skin thing. And there's the pinchy little bundles. That doesn't issue any gases at all, only up through the blood vessels. All right, let me show you something. As you know, I do the mud fossils. And what is a mud fossil? They flatten out in the mud. And this was at one time a fingertip. And I'll show you why I can make that statement and make it stick. This is flat as a pancake. They all did that after the flood. This was compressed and flattened out. Normally it would be just a nice fingertip like ours. This right here, this, these are the three arteries. You have arteries run up one side, vein runs back the other side. They all have three, 1, 2, and 3. On the tips have a tip, and there's 2 on the sides. The arteries just blow out because they're very, very cheap. The blood is fluid. The vein side, you see these 2 vein spots? No blood ran out of there at all because it's got clamps. They seal off. This is a fingertip. And that would have been at the end of some guy's finger. Now, this also, notice this hole right here. That's something that is part of your structure, your fingertip, where it's got a little tough spot. Now, I have one that came through space, identical to this, only came through space. You see this all cooked up? All of the flesh is cooked off it. We're down to the structure. You see it all burnt up here? You see this red here? And it's just gone. It blew right out. This was wet coming through space. This is identical to this fingertip here. Identical. Every single detail. You see that little hook right there? You see that little hook? You see that little hook? Exactly the same. You see where the blood vessels were? Our vein. This has the same thing. This one's hard to see because it got cooked. But they are here. And then on the other side, don't forget that little hook, identical. The tip, identical. The other side, identical. This one just ran its blood out. This one exploded. All right, you see that same spot over here? Same thing over here. We got that same spot. Now this is so cooked off, you can actually see they almost look like they're engineered little round spots there, where the tendons tag in. One here, and one here, which is blown off. Now this one still has where that tag would have been, right here. See it? 1, 2, and that one's still here. The blood's just ran out of this one. This one is an explosion situation. That right there, you see that ball? Let me see if you can see that well. See that ball right there? That strap coming over the top ran across here and then down your finger. And that fingertip would have done that on somebody's body of a, fairly good sized giant. Not even big compared to what even on my property I have much bigger. But that came through space. So that's, and this DNA can be tested. That can be drilled in deep inside, which will be undisturbed blood. And you can take that and have it DNA tested. I'm not going to do it again. I've done mine already. I've had it done and they dismissed it. And that was 10 years, well, not 10 years ago, 2015. So if somebody wants to challenge that, I'm perfectly willing. I have other ones that came through space here too that are a tiny little lung here that's an iron lung. This one right here. And that's got blood in it. And it's magnetic, it's iron. There's big ones, there's tiny ones, there's all kinds of things coming through space. It's just what it is. They missed everything because they don't want to talk about religion. They don't want anything that could possibly put anything into a religious context because it destroys Darwinism. It destroys literally everything in science now has got to be completely revamped. And that's what I'm doing. I'm starting it all over again. I've made enough videos now that everybody, if they went back and looked at all my videos, you'd understand what the world is really like. And you're never going to get that from academia. So it's up to you. But there was war in the heavens as far as I'm concerned. All right, I said the thing is fuming off, barbecue gases. That's exactly what it is. These are people that go out in space and walk into space in their spacesuits. When they come back in, they take the suit off, and it smells like steak, hot welding metals, welding fumes. Space smells like seared steak. It smells so much like it that they actually had a fragrance designer create that same odor for when they trained them so that they wouldn't freak out at the smell. And I bet you all the guy did was go in and cook up a couple of sirloins. Because all it is burning blood. That's all it is. Blood has all of those metals in it. So that's why you smell all the metals. Burning blood is just saturated with metals. That's why they smell them. Anyway, don't forget, this is a terrestrial one. There's where that's blood was. That's where that little tag is there, that little latch. They have this exact, there's no question they are the same. In my mind, I can't see any possibility that these are not the same body part. And this one, a stony meteorite, this is what they look like. They come through space. But see how structural this thing is? Very interesting to me. But these were identical at one time. They were so it's got to be a person's fingertip. That's what a fingertip looks like. I don't think a toe looks like, a toe or a whatever from a frog or something looks like this. As far as I'm concerned, these were body parts from battles in the heavens. This one here and this one here, one of the giants died. That's a lot bigger than my fingertip. So that's a giant, but kind of a small one, actually, for the type of giants that were on the earth. Brave new world, my friends, and we need to investigate the no-toes. These are different creatures than us. There's so much to think about and look at now. It's very, very, it's stunning. It's just a whole new world. When rocks are just nothing but body parts and meat, we never realized. I can't find any rock that wasn't part of a body. They come in all different sizes and shapes and styles and pieces, and even Caesar, my goose here, there's his feathers right there on his head. You see the feather pattern? He died laying like this. They all died flat on one side pretty much. The ones that are DNA tested, you know, I have lungs and so forth, you know, they're all 100% validated. So now we're into the space realm. Did they come through space from a lot of these things? The giant ones, like even the dragon, Typhon in the desert, was he thrown from heaven? There's other texts that say he lives deep inside the earth. I'm telling you, this is just insane stuff, but you can laugh at it or you can investigate it. I chose to investigate. And when I did, this statement came up. Jesus said, "Those who seek should not stop seeking until they find. When they find, they will be disturbed. When they are disturbed, they will marvel and will reign over all. After they have reigned, they will rest." He also, in these Nag Hammadi texts, claims that the earth is a corpse. The one who finds the earth finds a corpse, and the one who finds the earth also finds the body. That's exactly what I have found. And now they're out in space too, so take it for what it's worth to you. I have my own feelings and opinions now. I don't need to share them with you now. I've done it before. So you think it over. What does it mean to you? Is this just nonsense? Is this just something spectacular? Oh boy, oh wow, wow, wow. Well, to me it's a little more than spectacular, and it's not nonsense. It's important for eternity. If you want to live, if you believe that there's going to be another existence, you better understand or you should understand what your obligations are. And you know, you just have to believe in Christ, everything's going to be fine. Well, maybe. You know, that's a good start. As far as I'm concerned, you got to start there. You know, I said I wouldn't share them with you. Well, I'm sharing them with you. I never believed in anything until I found the mud fossils. Now I believe that Jesus Christ is the only way to get out of here alive. All right. Everybody dies, but some people still get out alive. That's what I'm hoping for. I hope you look for that too. But you don't look, you ain't gonna find it. I guarantee you that.